Hello and welcome to Thursday with Wendler. I don't know if this is working, so as usual, someone send me a thumbs up or some kind of indication that anyone can read me. You don't have to ask a question. We actually have 0 questions right now, which is bananas. So we'll go as long as there is questions. So I will wait around a little bit. If not, we will just cut it short. Not a big deal. But while we're waiting, I'm going to show you some stuff I found in my drawer just sitting in here. This is an old picture. I don't know if you guys can see that, of me. And I think that this obviously was in college. I believe this was in Phoenix. It's me and Jimmy Bauer and Brian Patton. Obviously the guys from I Hate God. And it was an awesome concert. A lot of personal memories. It was a great time. I got to hang out a little bit with some of the guys, Joseph and Jimmy in particular. Anyway, love that picture. And you can, it's before I could grow a full beard, obviously. Speaking of before I could grow a full beard, this is a picture of me and my roommate when I was at the Air Force Academy, Kurt Wagner. I'm the handsome guy right there, obviously, with my high and tight. So, yeah, look at that thing. I don't know exactly where or when this was taken, but that's before I was, all my dreams and hopes have been crushed by reality. And finally, one music, a recommendation. I think this band has 2 albums out. I don't know why this was stuck in my drawer. Obviously, I took it out for some reason. But if you guys like The Unsane, which most people at least enjoy them. This is Rabies Cast. I think this is obviously Let the Soul Out and Cut the Vein. And then they have, I think this is their second album. Their first one is, I swear to God, this is true, For the Vomiting Tractor Drivers. No idea what the hell that's about. But if you like that huge, thick bass lines and shit like that, very much like The Unsane. And obviously it's a good place to start. Anyway, all right, we'll go ahead and get started. So it looks like Rico Santana, you have not missed anything. Trust me. So again, we will go as long as there's questions. If not, we will just cut it short. Usually there's a shitload of questions here. So we had some variables that popped up getting this thing set up. So I am... my blood pressure's right about here, and right down here is where it's healthy. So, Jonathan writes, for those that do Walrus work stateside, look up fitness court locations. They're a good place to get an outdoor workout in. I use them a ton when traveling for work. Fitness court, never heard of it, but then again, I'm out in the middle of nowhere.
It's just an outdoor. It's like a basketball.
Have you seen it?
It's like it's not in here, but it's like.
Well, I know it's not here. Is it Columbus?
A huge pavement.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a bunch of like equipment.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I think that's what it is.
My son knows more than me, apparently. Good times. Anyway, that's awesome. For those that don't know, Jonathan Crossley's been a frequent contributor here, and Jonathan, I don't say maybe a month ago, did one of the dumbest Walrus style challenges I've ever seen. So horrible. He has my undue respect, massive respect for what he did. If I'm not mistaken, he did 20 rounds. Hold on, 20 rounds with a 20-pound vest. He would run a kilometer, and then at 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, and I think he did 15 lunges per leg. So he did that, the run, the push-ups, chin-ups, and lunges 20 times. And I think he also did some kind of run at the end, too. It wasn't, like, terribly long, but it was enough that it would suck. So good on you, Jonathan. So that's... I think my son Mason and I talked about how many, there was like 600 total lunges or something. Oh, horrible. All right, we're just going to hang out here for a little bit until we get some more questions. I appreciate all the, Rico again, good morning, boss. The pro says, using a good way to get to my heart by calling me the boss. All right, here we go. Gunnar in SP says, do you think it matters buying a 2x3 power rack or a 3x3 power rack? The 2x3 is 200 pounds cheaper over here in England. Just want to buy once and be done with it. All right, that's a good question. So there's a couple things, Gunnar in SP. I don't know who makes the rack, and that's going to really determine, you know, if it's something like, you know, styled what Elite FTS does, or Rogue, Williams, who's the other big one out in South Carolina besides Williams? I can't remember. Anyway, if it's something like that, like, I'd have to see it. Generally, the answer is probably not. I don't know how much the 2x3 is and what percentage 200 extra dollars or pounds are, so I don't know. If I was going to do it, I'd probably get the 3x3. But again, I don't know how sturdy those things are. I would, you know, maybe ask around to see what the company's like, see if there's any reviews, or if any gyms have them, or anyone that you know. So again, it would vary greatly based on who is building those racks. So I don't think it's going to be, it's the 2x3, if it's done right, is fine. We used at Westside 2x2 racks, and they were, trust me, they were strong enough to handle anything that we threw at it. So, but those are also very well made. So Vincent, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. And congrats on being consistently under 200 pounds, man. I saw that post. I don't know, it was like Instagram or something. I don't know. But yeah, congratulations. I know you're hungry right now. Whatever you are, you're hungry. So even if you just ate, you're hungry. All right, Rico says, I'm on a cut right now. What would be best to run on your programs? I think the most important thing on the programming would not be exactly, I wouldn't do like boring but big, but I think you have a lot of leeway, more leeway than people think. I think what's going to be, what I would do is I would drop your training maxes around 80%. I would maintain the same training max throughout the entire cut, and I would not do anything more than you usually do. So again, we've talked about this many times before. When people want to lose fat and stuff, they do like a million more exercises, and then they run like 60 miles a day. Listen, if you want to lose weight, there's or lose fat, there's really two ways of doing it. Is either decreasing your calories or increasing your calorie expenditure. All right, you shouldn't do both at the same time. Because you're just going to run into a host of problems. So what I would probably do, Rico, if I were you, I would do one main lift a day. I would lift either 3 or 4 days a week. One main lift a day, 80% training max, and I would maintain that all the way through. So if you have good days, you go ahead and push it. If not, you go ahead and back off. That's fine. I'd probably do whatever assistance program you generally do. I would probably just keep that, you know, and then you can have some fun with that. But I think that's the most important thing. The other thing is on your off days, make sure you're getting some activity in. Again, when you decrease the calories, there's going to be a decrease in performance. So you have to be smart about the conditioning too. You can't just bomb everything. You know, do like I'm going to do, you know, 50, 100-yard sprints, you know, 3 times a week. It's not going to work very well with you while you do all the other stuff. So just be smart about that. Neil Hounshell. I don't think I've seen that name. He says, morning, boss. Thank you, Neil. Oh, get to work, Neil. God damn it, on the fucking computer. All right. He says, I just started the 1000% Awesome full body program, and the question is it 100% needed to run 5s Pro during the leader? Could I still use? Yeah, you could do that. He's asking if you can still do like the 3-5-1 PR sets. Yeah, you could do that. Listen, like a lot of that stuff is best case scenario. And I think a lot of times the PR sets run people down, and especially if you're not ready. The only thing I would tell you, Neil, is I would take the 3-5-1. If you use that setup, take the 5 week off if you need it, especially if you need it, man. And then the other thing is I wouldn't do as many reps as possible. I would do a PR set, and I always try and cap it so you're smart. So you're super smart. Even if, like, I'll give you an example on the 5s week, a lot of times we use the 5s week as a mini, I want to say deload, but we back off. So we always cap the reps on our top set at 10. So they're still getting quality work in. It's still you're still pushing hard, but it's not all the way. So big difference between an AMRAP set and a PR set. And personally, we usually cap all of our sets on a day so that the kids are making smart decisions. If not, then it's going to turn into a clusterfuck. So just be smart about that. So the answer to your question is yes, but be smart. Jonathan's commenting on his incredibly stupid but incredibly awesome challenge he did. He says, yes sir, it sucked, but in a good way, helped to reframe my perspective on daily training. Essentially just consistent good days set you up for just about anything. Listen, I'm going to give you guys a good example of what consistently good days, and I've talked to some of the guys I'd work with so they understand this, is let's say I have a goal of doing, I'm just going to 100 rows of stadium steps with my vest on. That's the goal. One day I just want to fucking do it, grind it out, within X amount of time. The old way of my thinking back when I was like in high school was, well, I'm going to start with 10, and then next week I'm going to do 20, and then 30, then 40, then 50, then 60, then whatever. You guys get the drill until I get to 100. The problem is once I get to a certain point and keep on working up, my body's just going to feel like dog shit. So instead you find a minimum that you want to do, and you just try and have those good days, and when you feel good, maybe you push a little bit more, but you just stack good days. Again, just you can do it more frequently, just stack those good days over and over again. And then when the 100 challenge shows up, not only are you in great shape, but you're healthy. That's the most important thing. Again, the best ability, I screwed that up. The best ability is availability. So there you go. All right, mailman James says, hey, 13-year-old soccer and football player, first year doing both. Yeah, that's going to be tough. We'll have probably 3 days a week where he's practicing both on the same day. How to still getting some lifting in 3 days a week? I would not lift 3 days a week. I would lift twice a week. There's no way I would lift 3 days a week. I would lift twice a week. I would do the bench press on one day, and I would do the trap bar on the other day. I would do very little, if at all, assistance on the lower body. If anything, I would just do glute ham raises or back raises. Obviously, I do some ab work. All the upper body work would be higher rep, just bodybuilding, getting some, getting a good pump on, so to speak. And that would be on both days. And that's how we set up our in-season training. Again, on Mondays, we do the trap bar, and then we do some kind of like, I'll give you an example. We'll do overhead press and dumbbell incline rows. On Wednesday, we will do the bench press, and we'll do dumbbell incline presses and barbell curls. We'll do pull-ups on both of those days, and anything little upper body that they want to do. So the most important thing is mailman James, is you give your child a chance to rest his leg. The volume shouldn't be that high. Those workouts we do, from the time that we start doing, we always warm up with pull-ups and neck. From the time that those kids start to the end is probably less than 40 minutes. It's probably 35 minutes. So we work quickly. We don't fart around a lot. Everything's on a timer. That gives the kids, listen, we're very focused, but I'm not running those kids down. On the main lifts, on the bench press, the bench press is one of the greatest indicator lifts for in-season football. When your body starts to take a dump recovery-wise, your bench press will take a huge dump. So I always use that as a tool of figuring out where the kids are. So if they're always around 90%, we'll be fine somewhere in there. Once it drops, we're going to have to fix something, whether it's practice, whether it's training, whether it's their sleep and recovery. That's also on them. So just to understand that. But the other thing I always do is I always give the kids a chance to have a good day. So for example, on Wednesday, if the kids look a little run down, we're not going to work up to anything heavy. We'll just do a lot of lighter weights for higher reps because I'm playing with their mind. I don't want them to know that they're weak. I want them to have a good day. So we always manipulate the variables within the training in order for them to have good days. I've said this a million times before. When we trap bar on Mondays, early on in the season, we'll be able to train fairly hard. Obviously, as the season wears on, if the kids are not up to it, if I walk into that weight room and you can just feel it, everyone knows what this feeling's like. As a coach, we just won't trap bar that day. In the 2024 season, was it that? No, it was 20. Well, both those seasons, but I believe it was the 20. Oh, I don't remember it doesn't matter what season it is. We didn't trap bar for 3 weeks straight. On that fourth week when we came back, that was the 10th week of the season, I believe. We had so many massive PRs on that. So that you don't have to do it all the time to get good at it, if that makes sense. Especially when you're in that fatigue state, it's best to let the kids rest and have good days during the obviously practice, but on the field. You have to get rid of your ego and that they have to lift and they have to reach certain numbers on the in-season training. That's super important to understand. And I think that's super important for anyone that's watching this. If you are a fireman, police officer, stuff like that, if your training is fucking up your job, then you're not training right. You have to be able to do your job at a high level. So you have to manipulate the training variables so that you do. All right, enough pontificating. Okay, the pro says, I know you advocate doing one or several leaders, a 7th week, and one and several anchors on forever, but can I just run a single template for many months? I don't want to rotate set reps and lists frequently. Yes, you can, but it's going to catch up to you. You're going to have to rotate some of that stuff. Everyone knows, I'm sure, I've taken some kind of science course, knows the Hans-Selve adaptation model, so you're going to have to do it. All right, I'm telling you. It's just, you're going to have to at least change something. So just understand that, okay? If I were you, if you want to run the same template, you're going to have to rotate assistance lifts and the variables within there. That's what I would probably do if you're going to stick to what you're doing. A lot of different exercises. Start pushing different set and rep ranges on that stuff, and make sure you're building muscle. Vincent, my good friend Vincent DeCenzo says, hey, my body was cranky AF. Vincent, you're retired now, dude. You're not a teacher anymore. I guess you're once a teacher, always a teacher. Your body was cranky AF the other day. So after training, I did light dumbbell side lateral raises, overhead press, then calf raises and hanging leg raises for abs. Thanks for teaching flexibility. That was a Walrus, by the way. So Vincent, for those that you don't know, Vincent is one of my best friends. Vincent also bench pressed 900 pounds and bench pressed with a shirt and 600 pounds raw in like three different weight classes or something, or I don't know, maybe 2. I don't know what it was, but it was insane. Vincent is I think Vincent and I are both like, we want things mapped out and stuff, but as I've gotten older, and it's probably because I have to coach a bunch of ding-dongs, I've learned the value of flexibility, and I think that's something that Vincent has touched on, is you have to be able to auto-regulate some of this stuff. And again, Vincent made a post on the forum, I think it was today, where you got to have some fun too. Guys, training doesn't have to be black and white with a lot of this stuff. All right, one of the best stories, I always tell this story, is Dave and I were in California. I mean, this was early 2000s probably. And someone was asking about doing lat work, and Dave and I are like, well, rows and pull-ups and, lat pull-downs, all this shit. And then someone asked Dave, what's your favorite bar to use on the lat pull-down? And Dave and I kind of looked at each other, and he's like, well, whatever's up there, we'll use. So if it's a rope, that's what we're going to do. If it's some weird tricep thing, fuck it, we're just going to use that. I don't really care. And then the person, I don't remember if it's guy or girl, said, well, okay, what if there's nothing up there? And then Dave looked at me and started laughing. He's like, well, I'm not doing lat pull downs then. So the point is not to be a lazy and not do lat pull downs. The idea is that you have to have some flexibility. I do this with the kids all the time. Like, listen, if we're going to do some kind of upper body push, if you want to do push-ups, fine. If you want to do dips, fine. If you want to do overhead press, dumbbell incline, dumbbell floor press, I don't care. Just get something in, have some fun. You can mix and match different shit. I don't care. The most important thing is that we're doing it. Now, obviously, if you're powerlifting, that might be different. Things might have carryover, but if you're using training as some form of general physical preparedness, so if you're an athlete, first responder, military, stuff like that, then your training obviously is GPP, so have some fun. Zafrican says, what do you suggest if we want to replace barbell squats with Bulgarian split squats because it's one leg movement as a 5-3-1 movement? What do you suggest? So you want to replace the one leg movement with the barbell squat. I don't know. I mean, you have to figure out the loading and stuff. I don't know how you're going to, I assume you're going to load it with a barbell, right? I would probably, what my suggest would be not to do it and use it as an assistance exercise. That's what I would suggest. If you want to do it, just follow the principles, start light, progress slow. I don't know what kind of training max you would probably have. I would use a very light training max until you get really, really good at it. I got really good at the single leg barbell squats, with whatever Bulgarian, I don't know what the hell people call them these days. Really good at them in college. I did 352 per leg for like 3 reps. It's fun to do. I think once you get up to a certain point, I don't think it's very smart. If I would have fallen, I would have gotten hurt. That's a lot of weight to put on one leg, and you're searching for something back there. Obviously, you get better at the technique. I don't think my legs got like that much. It's not like I was squatting 700 for like 3 reps or anything like that. I mean, obviously people know that not a 1-to-1 ratio there. So, but yeah, you're just follow the principles, man. And I guess the other thing I would do is I would probably change your set rep scheme too. That's what I would probably, I don't know what it would be. Probably instead of 5-3-1, I'd probably do 10, 8, 6 or something like that. So the loading isn't stupid. So, but I personally wouldn't do it. I would just load it as an assistance and just bomb the shit out of it. The pro says the reason I don't want to run leaders is that some templates don't have PR sets in leaders, and if I don't have PR sets, the fun and excitement's gone. That's fine. Go ahead and do it, but just make sure you vary the assistance work, guys. Don't just do 5 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 10. That's fucking stupid. Once you got it, anything over 12 reps in your endurance. Yeah, go ahead and dumbbell row a 200-pound dumbbell for 25 reps. You're not going to be strong if you do it because it's over 12 reps. Everyone knows that. Also, I row a 40-pound dumbbell. Fucking turds. Oh my God, there's so many turds out there. Just floaters. Sinkers and floaters. Doesn't matter, you're still a turb. All right, J089 says, hey Jim, these live streams are incredible. Oh, thank you. I really wish I had like some kind of backdrop I could just bring out here that was all cool and make it look a little bit better, but I'm not going to do that. So it says, would it be doable and or advisable to use a Walrus type circuit as the assistance work with the Crypa 2 days a week? Well, that's not, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by, I think you're kind of mixing and matching there. I'll be honest. I think if I'm training someone who's got a fairly, knows what's going on and I can work with them and stuff, we almost always use some type of Crypa training. It's super efficient. You can do, the amount of variables that we can manipulate is amazing. We can just, we can work up, we can keep things simple. The variables that we use on the assistance work, we just pick up different exercises. Like, fuck, let's try this one today. So I love doing it like that. I think it's awesome to be on a timer. I think that improves your general physical preparedness better than anything I've used by far. And it gives you a ton of options every single time you train, whether it's heavier, lighter, the FSL work can change, and obviously the assistance work changes greatly. We always use usually 3 assistance exercises per training session. So I'm not exactly sure, because if you're using Crypa with squat and then Crypa with bench while you train, then you're doing Walrus That's just more assistance work. I don't think that's, unless I'm not, and I'd have to see how it's drawn up. But generally, Jay, 089, Cryptea stands by itself. You don't need to be adding the Walrus stuff to it, because the Walrus stuff is, you're still doing circuit stuff with the Cryptea, if that makes sense. So, if I'm understanding. Canada First says, will sprinting help me build more muscle? I do it twice a week. Yes, I think sprinting's awesome. It's not going to turn you into a bodybuilder or anything like that. But yes, I think if you can do the sprints and like really sprint and not run fast, if that makes sense, I think it will help you greatly. That's one thing I wish I would have kept up with, at least the sprint conditioning. My body can't do anything anymore. So again, it's not going to turn you into shredded, look like Ronnie Coleman. But yes, and the most important thing, Canada First, is not that it builds more muscle. It's that you're retaining a skill that fucking you need. You need to be able to run, and that's what kills me. I wish I could still do it. I think if shit hit the fan, I'd still be able to run a little bit. But it's not about, I'll tell you right now, there's not a single dude in this that's watching this anywhere that's a little bit older will tell you, we don't use sprints to build muscle, even though it will help you secondarily, so to speak, but it's a skill that I think you need to hold on to. So keep doing it. Drew Gossett says, hey, Jim, back into lifting after a few injuries from grappling and overtraining. Well, let me tell you something, Drew. There's nothing that grapplers love more than overtraining. Good Lord. Oh, my God. If you could put like some kind of, I guess you could put like a ring on. People did all those things where they can manage the, or just check the body for the, if they're overtrained or not. There used to be like a fancy name for this system. I can't remember what it was called. I remember they hooked Louie up to it years ago when Milo and those guys and Buddy were at the Browns, and Louie was so overtrained. It was awesome. But if you could hook up any of the wrestlers to this thing, I'm sure 99.9% were overtrained. And the only one that wasn't had like 2 broken legs and like a broken neck. But anyway, Drew, I apologize. He says, I'm taking time off grappling to try and get my strength back. My idiot phase was losing 50 pounds and trying to lift heavy. It doesn't work like that. Especially, Drew, I'm going to tell you this right now. Lifting weights is awesome for just about anything that you do, right? We can all agree on that. The problem is when lifting is a general physical preparedness, and instead you try to chase weights instead of chasing training well and doing good training. Once you understand that, you will get stronger because you're not a fucking idiot, okay? So the best way, we use weights that allow you to have a good training day. And if that's a lot sometimes, that's great. If it's a little less, fucking do it. Don't try to always push a square peg in a round hole. So, let's see. I'm sorry. Colin Robert Yost. I used to go to school with a girl named, I think her name was Stephanie Yost. She was from Alaska, believe it or not. Anyway, here we go. I can't believe I remember that. All right. I got my first neutral group pull up at 295 pounds. Oh my God. Should I try and get multiple sets in, even if it's just 1 rep? 1,000% yes. Listen, we have, all of our linemen right now can at least do like 3 pull-ups, and some of these kids are not the slimmest of kids, and they couldn't do it. We do pull-ups every single day we train as part of our warm-up. When the kids walk in, we have a list of movements, doesn't matter, but one of them is pull-ups. We always start with jumping pull-ups or band pull-ups, and they will, I said, just do 1 rep, don't care. So they'll just do 1 rep, do a couple other things, do another rep, a couple things, yes. So even if it's just 1 or 2 reps, it pays off greatly. And again, first of all, fucking awesome that you can do that, all right? The other thing is, let's say, Colin, this is what I would do if I was training you, is let's say it's bench day. We're fucking using Cryptea because I'm not a cunt. All right, we got all this. I would have, let's say you're doing bench, let's say you're doing some dumbbell squats, you're doing some kind of hamstring work, and you're doing some ab work. Okay, that's what we're doing as part of our, I'm just made that up. So as part of our training program, we will also throw in singles every time you do a as part of that rotation as singles. So we generally do about 10 sets. I would try to get you to at least do 5 sets. If we can get 10, that's great. 5 sets of 1, and we would just keep on doing that until we can get you up. So 10 sets of 1 are not that big of a deal. And then we would start like, listen, at some point today in these 10 sets, you got to do 2 reps. We'll do singles the rest of the time. I'll let you choose what set it's going to be. Let's back and go get it. So we'll just start building up that daily volume. All right. And again, I would keep most of your pull-ups neutral grip. I would try to vary it. Eventually we'd start doing stupid shit, like rope pull-ups and, some really challenging stuff like doing pull-ups on the monolift where I think it's 4x4. So it's all awkward. That's a long way off, but we start just challenge you in different grips and stuff like that. So congratulations. To answer your question, should I try and get multiple sets even if it's 1 rep? Yes, yes, yes. All right, make sure I answered that. I don't want to sound like a politician. Maniac. Man down up. All right. What's a good way to reset my body and mind so that I can see progress and enjoy training more? I'm 46, greatly accumulating fatigue and joint pain. All right, so there's a couple things. One, I would make sure you look at, I'm going to do a couple things. This is what I would do. 1, look at your diet, clean up any of the sugars and like just generally bad shit. That's going to help your inflammation. You'll probably sleep better. You'll probably drop some weight. And so it doesn't have to be this, insane diet. Just get rid of the shit. Number 2 is make sure you're sleeping. All right. If that means you got to you're losing weight will help. If you got to wear a CPAP or something like that, I used a mouthpiece that kind of was all fucked up and weird, but it allowed me to quit snoring. That's when I was a little much heavier than I am now. So that's number 2. Number 3 is when you look at your lifting, I would only lift 3 days a week. All right. You ready for this shit? Again, I don't know how you're training, so this might be a total fuck fest here, so I apologize. This is what I would do. I would do your training 3 days a week. I would have 1 main lift a day. I would bench on Monday. I would trap bar or squat, especially box squat, a little higher above parallel. And on Friday, I would press or do another bench workout. After each of those days, I would do some kind of assistance. I would probably pick, honestly, 4 assistance exercises. I would be creative. I wouldn't do a ton of lower body work at that time. All right, 2 to 3, 4 sets of each, doesn't really matter. Just choose whatever movements you feel good. All right, my training max, I'm just gonna assume you're using 5 through 1, 80%, 75 to 80%. I'm just having good days. I'm not gonna smoke my body, especially on the main lifts. We're just going to have good reps, okay? Before each of those, I should say 7 days a week, you're going to do something like the Agile 8, okay? Or something similar. All right, but let's just start with Agile 8 because it's written out. It works for a lot of people. On Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I would do some kind of what general zone 2 conditioning. And what that basically means is you're just doing conditioning work that you can have a bullshit conversation with your buddies, okay? So you don't need you out there running hills, sprinting hills, or pushing a prowler and doing 1,000,000 reps of that. You get on a bike, especially if you have an Airdyne or anything like that, ride for 30 to 40 minutes and you're done, or go take a walk for an hour or so and get a little sweat going, enjoy your life, okay? But that's what I would do to reset your body. The other thing is, whatever you're doing right now is you have so much fatigue and joint pain, okay? So you're gonna have to reset how you think. And if you're used to doing like a million sets and reps like that, it's like, well, this is how I'm supposed to train. Well, guess what? You can't train like that anymore. You're gonna have to pivot. You can still train hard. It's just gonna have to be different. That needs to be said, okay? So again, I'm throwing a lot of shit out here, but the problem is what you're doing now and your mindset now or how you're programming is fucking shitty because you're tired and you got joint pain. You're gonna have to pivot. And if I was still doing all this shit, 100% I would buy a really good trap bar and I would use high handles and I would box squat with a safety squat bar, and maybe 2 to 3 inches above parallel. Just save your body, guys. You will thank me later, okay? Mailman James says, really all we are doing is push-ups and pull-ups. I've been having him do squats with a 30-pound dumbbell. We usually do a circuit of 2 pull-ups, 12 push-ups, and 10 reps on dumbbell squat, usually about 4 to 6 rounds. Okay, so Mailman James, this was earlier on in this live stream. So his kid is playing soccer and playing football at the same time. I believe that's what the 2 sports were. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. The only thing I would do is see if you can increase especially his pull-ups and his push-ups occasionally, even if it's just 1 or 2 sets of a little more reps. Or grab, if you can get yourself a heavier dumbbell, instead of doing 10 reps with a 30, maybe pick up a 45 and do sets of 5 or something like that. Kind of challenge him a little bit occasionally when he feels good. That's the only thing I would probably do. Just throw in some variables in there. But yes, you can do that. But I think at his age, even though he's playing 2 sports, with the body weight work, you should be able to increase his body weight work a little bit, especially on the upper body. Just be smart about the lower body. So, I totally lost my place here, as usual. All right, here we go. All right, KRG says, I can only get my hands on a barbell the days I'm off of work. Okay, my schedule rotates every other week. First week I can lift 4 to 5 times. The next week only Wednesday to Thursday. Should I stick to a upper-lower split instead of a DeFranco split? The days I do work, I either do kettlebell work or ride an air bike. Well, I would on that first week, I would train Monday, Tuesday, Friday. I would train 3 days that week. And then the next week, I would train Wednesday and Thursday. And then on the off days, I would do other stuff. I don't think you should lift 5 days that first week and 2 the next week. I don't think that's very smart. That's just me. So what that would be, probably Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, and then obviously Wednesday, Thursday. That's what I would do. So yeah, I would do an upper-lower split. I'm not sure what you mean by a DeFranco split. So on the days that you can, like 3 days a week, I would do the DeFranco split, and then Wednesday and Thursday the next week, I would do 1 upper and 1 lower. That's what I would do. 1,000%. That's, if you came and trained here, that's 1,000% what I would do. Listen, I'm not trying to blow smoke up my fanny, but I've said this before in the forum. Like when I train people one-on-one, I always get the same reaction than when they trained at London, because that's the only people I work with is former football players who are now doing shit. Is, oh my God, it sucks so much more when I train with you, and the pace is insane. Our pace isn't going to hurt the amount of weight lifted, especially once we get our bodies in shape. But oh my God, the amount of work we get in a short amount of time is not fun for a lot of people. Like, you don't come to the garage and just have a good workout. We still have good workouts, but it's not a good time all the time. The amount of work we get in. So don't think that just more days are going to be better. Just do good work, okay? Stephen C says, hey, I got a weight vest for my 52nd birthday. That's awesome. Whoever got you that, or did you buy it yourself and wrap it? That's what. All right. It says, train a main lift followed by pull-ups, push-ups, and squats with a 20-pound vest. 3 sets. Hold on. 3 sets of push-ups or pull-ups, I guess. 12 push-ups and 17 squats. Would you increase sets or reps to progress? I would do both. You can do. Instead of doing 3 sets, do 5, and then you do another thing of 3 sets and just increase the reps. So maybe 8, 15, and 25, something like that. And then you just start. So I don't think there's only one way to do things, guys. I know there's not one way to do things. So sometimes you might want to do a little bit more, a little bit less, whatever it is. But have some fun. Be creative with that stuff, and you don't have to increase the sets on every exercise. So like a lot of times what I did was I just kept the push-ups and the squats the same, and I'd increase the pull-ups. Sometimes it wouldn't even be every single set. It would be every other set, or maybe the first 5 if I'm doing 10 rounds, something like that. So just understand there's a million variables in there, and just have some fun, guys. Be creative. Maybe the push-ups feel great that day. Fuck it, I'm doing sets of 20. I'm going to see how many sets I can do. If I'm doing 10 rounds, I'm going to see if I can get 20 reps on the first 5 sets or something like that. And if you tank after 4, then go ahead and go back to what you were doing before. But when you feel good and you feel like you're not going to ruin the rest of your day and the rest of your week, don't be afraid to push some of this stuff, guys. Okay, Matthew says, hey, Jim, I've posted here a few times about a hip and adductor injury. Those are never good. He writes, I got an MRI, and it turns out I need surgery to repair a tear and a misshapen bones. Oof, joy. Not looking forward to the time off of training. But it's better than needing a hip replacement down the road. Excited to be able to run and squat again when it's fixed. That's, well, first of all, sucks, Matthew, but the best thing is you got the injury evaluated and there's a solution to the injury. The only thing I'd say, and I've said this a million times, man, I sound like a broken record, is make sure you front load the recovery. So if they say 6 weeks and you get, the all forward, you can go, I would do fucking 12 weeks and just rehab and make sure everything is solid so you never have another issue again. Trust me, I've done both. I've done I front loaded the recovery and was smart, and other times I've done the really dumb thing, and I've never had anything positive come out of the dumb thing, ever. All right. Okay, so Zafrican says, thank you, Coach. I'm going to keep doing assistance. Okay, I'm using 5x5 rep scheme when I'm doing them as assistance. I realize it's almost zero effect on my squats, but very good for my trap bar deadlifts. All right, so he asked about the single leg squats. There you go. Canada First says, thank you for answering my question, and sent me a whole bunch of hearts. Gracias. God of destruction. Says, hey Jim, what are your thoughts on rotational exercises? How would one incorporate them in a 5-3-1 program? I never did them. And somehow I walked down to Arizona and got a scholarship and got to play way above my talent level. So I'm sure, I know some people fillet themselves at the thought of rotational work because you twist when you do stuff. But training's GPP, so I don't really get caught up in that stuff. Doesn't mean they aren't positive. I just haven't seen if you do rotational work, you're going to win the gold medal. So if you're going to do it, then you just plug it into the what I call the single leg core section, and that would just be done as part of your assistance work. So if you understand the 5-3-1 program, it allows you to do a million different things based on your readiness and based on your preparedness and based on what you want to do. So if you want to get bigger, we can help you. If you want to be rotational guy, fucking we'll do it. If you want to be kettlebell guy, if you want to be weight vest guy, you want to be body weight guy, we can do all that within the structure of the program. That's kind of why I did that. So if Jim Wendler from 16 years old, we can get him super strong. Jim Wendler at 50 years old, we can adapt, and based on what I can and can't do, we can adjust. So you could just throw him in as assistance work. You won't be disappointed. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that shit. I don't know. It's been my experience that just put on some muscle. Bar speed's awesome. Super aggressive on the barbell lifts. Never outload yourself, so make sure you're smart about the loading. Make sure your core, abs, and core are strong, and make sure you've got a engine. Make sure you can run or walk or whatever. You keep that high. Good things tend to happen, guys. All right, that doesn't mean you can't tweak stuff. Vincent knows what I mean by tweaking. All right, here we go. Canada First says, I lost weight this week and am bulking. I lost 0.5 kilograms. Force feeding myself now, but keep it whole foods. Gotta eat big to get big. Well, you gotta have to eat some food to get bigger. You are right. And getting bigger takes time. So just be patient. I always say I like to do everything in Olympic segments, meaning 4 years or so. It gives you a little bit of perspective and allows you to have some patience, but do not mistake patience for not being disciplined. There you go. It's not exactly what I want to say. Vincent says, hey, have you ever tried the So Right for your back? Yes, I just used it the other day. It nearly makes me cry. It's because you don't have to put it up your ass, dude. Jesus, Vincent. Gotta show you everything. It nearly makes me cry, and I'm using it on a padded massage therapy table. That does make a difference. I've used it on the floor, and I've used it on my bed. Oh, the bed's so much better. But being more consistent, and it's helping quite a bit. Occasionally, like, I can feel it working. Other times, I can't feel anything. So I don't know. Maybe next time you come out here, you can show me. You can show me. Oh, you can use mine. I'll even lube it up for you, buddy. All right, here we go. Enrico says, I can't find your version of the Power Husker circuit. It's on the forum somewhere. I can't remember what it's under, though. But there's a whole bunch of different threads and stuff. And my version is not like you do these exercises. We have it's plenty of things just like the regular 5-3-1 program. There's plenty of variables you can throw in there and you can have some fun. So again, it's not exactly the Power Husker circuit. So of course you have to, I had to change shit because I have people in my garage. I don't have access to all that stuff that they have. So I had to adjust it. And he says, have you tried the Norwegian long-range recon treadmill test? It's absolutely brutal. I have tried it to my limitations. For those that don't know, for the past 5 years, I've had some serious issues. I did it, again, I had to scale it down because I can't, both my feet are constantly numb. So, good times. So yeah, I did it. I don't remember, Mason and I did it. We did it at the... Anytime, whatever it's called, the fitness place here, and we did it on treadmills right next to each other, but one of them did it while the other one just walked and hung out, and then we just switched. So it was a good time. Mason obviously kicked my ass. Where are we going here? I lost my Plossie again. Here we go. Maniac Man down up says thank you. Well, I appreciate it. Jonathan says, any challenges planned for yourself or your kids this summer before school starts back up? My challenge is trying to get healthy again, I guess. Not really. The last thing we did was myself and one of the kids I work with did a couple prowler challenges. Did a mile with 3 plates per side. We did a half mile with 4. Both of them were horrible. When we did 4 plates, it was awful. It was hot. And 2 separate people like a week later said, hey, I saw you and a young man pushing the prowler. It didn't look good. I was like, it wasn't good. Nothing for the kids. The kids are already practicing right now. So anything we do we're kind of in what I call preseason mode. So we got to be super smart. I think right now they're at a 7-on-7. So we run the wing tee and we're doing 7-on-7. Primarily a defensive exercise, trust me. All right, Lorenzo says, hey boss, thanks for doing this. Getting in touch is amazing. You were right. I added more assistance work to boring but big and I was run down. Yep. What assistance I should do as minimum? Just lat work and abs? Yes. And it doesn't have to be super crazy either if you're not feeling great. So lat work would be done on your bench and press days. Some ab work would be done obviously on your squat and deadlift days. So yeah. Listen, you got time to train, guys. Be smart about it. Good morning, says Ken. And he uses Boss. I just purchased a used Rogue sled that doesn't have the rubber skis on it. I believe you have stated in prior that your sled does have skis. Do you recommend that I purchase them or run the sled without it on the road? Okay, I'm not sure which sled you got. If it's like a prowler sled or if it's just like a regular dragging sled. But you wouldn't have rubber skis on it if you're going to I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. Listen, Ken, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. Of course, the Prowler has, skis on it. Anything that's like a Prowler should have skis on it. So again, you wouldn't have rubber. You could never push that on the road or driveway or wherever you push them. So let's say for whatever reason, whatever you're missing is going to wear down the sled. This is what I would do. I would give it a call, put a pro and con list together. Whatever you paid for that sled is, if it gets worn down quick, are you going to be regretful? If not, then I would just say, fuck it. I paid, 20% of the cost of this, and let's go ahead and do it. Or again, I don't know exactly what this is. I would try to contact Rogue. They're usually pretty good about this, and see if you can just purchase those things separately. So they're usually pretty good, but I'm not exactly sure what you're asking there. But again, I'm a huge fan of the sled. Or find like grass or a turf field if you can find it, and save your Prowler. So Richard Stewart says, what's your thoughts on using kettlebells for GPP, I assume? I took a break from barbells and using kettlebells only, and my body feels amazing. I even feel more explosive. Kettlebell snatches lit up my body. Well, Richard, just so you understand, all lifting is GPP. So kettlebells, again, we talk about general physical preparedness. We talk about, I've said, I know everyone's pissed off. Some kind of resistance training, some type of conditioning, and some kind of mobility and flexibility work. In this scenario, kettlebells for you generally tend to be the resistance exercise. Obviously, you're going to get some conditioning out of there, depending on how you do it. So yes, kettlebells is fine for GPP. Just because, barbells are part of GPP unless you're a power lifter or Olympic lifter. So yes, they can be used as part of any training program. And here's, I guess, Richard, what are my thoughts? If it works for you, man, whatever. I'm good with it. Don't really, I'm 1,000% behind whatever you want to do. Body weight, machines, barbells, dumbbells, some variation within there. That's awesome. But the best part is, Richard, you feel good, and that's what's most important. All right. Robert Howarder says, hey, I'm running BB upper. Okay, so bodybuild the upper. I see what you did there. Athlete the lower. I'm in the military and unexpected shit happens often. What adjustments can I make on bad days? Can I just hit my main lift and conditioning then leave? So here's a couple things. Is one, do what you said. Main lift and leave and some conditioning. Number two is take out the main lift and just do some assistance and conditioning and leave. You could alter your main lift too. So maybe instead of doing PR set, you just do, for example, what we do is on the upper body stuff, we will just do 3 to 4 or 5 sets of 10 on the first set, and that's our main lift. Or if we're doing, squats or deadlifts or something like that, we will just do week 2 and just do sets of 5 on the squat or deadlift, or sets of 3 or something like that, if you still want to keep that main lift in. So you have to understand, you have to see, like, what does my body feel like when I do that with the main lift? What does my body feel like if I take out the main lift and do assistance, and be smart about that? So there's a lot of different things in there, and you have to make that adjustment. That's why I get paid the big bucks, right? That's one of the things I do when I work with the athletes. You have to adjust when shit happens. You have to make that adjustment. You have to give, whether you're a military or an athlete, them the best chance to succeed at their sport or whatever their activity is, not that they're trying to be powerlifter Joe. So there's a lot of things you can do. And the other thing you can do, if you really hit the skids, is just do some mobility work, some zone 2 conditioning, and get the fuck out of there, because that too might be the best thing for you. The pro says you advocate air dyeing a lot in your books. I have a rowing machine at home. Would that be a good alternative? I used it to get my morning exercise in, 14 minutes of steady state, 1 minute all out. The reason why I like the air dyeing is it can be easy, it can be incredibly hard, and it's very, very, very easy on the body. I've only done like the rowing machine one time. I just kind of tugged on it a few times. I don't know enough about it. Yes, it can be a good alternative. It's just something to get your heart rate up. All right. The reason why I like the Airdyne, again, easy on the body. You can sprint or you can do a nice easy thing on the Airdyne. Plus your legs get pumped up when you start doing sprints and you feel like a dude. So is it a good alternative? Yes. It just makes sure you use it appropriately. Rico says, in your workouts, are you resting 1 minute between sets or less or something like that? In my workouts or the kids' workouts? Big difference. Depends on what I'm doing during the training too. If it's like Walrus stuff, I rest as much as I need to, unless I'm doing something specific. So I don't know if that makes sense. So it would depend what we're doing, and it depends on the person I'm working with. So I think that's what you're asking, like people that I work, 'cause no one gives a shit what I do. I'm 50 years old, so I'm kind of so. Rico, the best thing to tell you is rest the appropriate amount and make sure that you're still getting good reps in, but you don't want to spend all day doing nothing. If that makes sense, and you just it takes you 50 minutes to do 5 sets. That's not how we train. I'm a big believer in pushing the pace of the workouts and letting your body, as a result of that, get stronger and stronger. So I don't worship and like base everything on what weights we handle. We base everything on how the weight looks, how the lifts looks and stuff like that, and we adjust based on that. So I think that's what you're asking. Luke, my good friend Luke Barber. I like Luke so much I got his name tattooed on my hand. He says, hey, thanks for doing these. I see you in the upcoming season. Luke occasionally comes up for a game and says hi. Luke is like 14 feet tall, in case you guys were curious. Makes me feel quite short. He goes, I'm trying to figure out what game I'm going to come out to watch. I just saw our schedule. I'll see. Oh my God. It's going to be a crazy season. I love football season. Oh my God. So yeah, just let me know, Luke, and I'll try and guide you to see if there's going to be any good games. I don't know. We'll see. It's always hard to tell too. High school football is so up and down. Not us though. We're always good, but some of the teams we play, it's going to be crazy. Paul says, hey boss, I'm interested in running Cryptea. When it comes to assistance work, can you add core at the end if you're still under the 40? Yes, you can add. Listen, Paul, yes, the answer to your question is fine. Totally okay. The one thing that I do now is with the Cryptea, I leave the assistance open for interpretation. So you can do, we generally do 3 assistance exercises, and generally speaking, we will add a core, some kind of core work in there. Especially, obviously, that would be generally on a bench or press day. We will do, like one of the last kids here, we did dumbbell squats, we did dumbbell straight leg deadlifts, or whatever you want to call it, or RDLs, and then we did ab wheel. So yes, you can do it like your way, or you can do it as part of your assistance. So again, doesn't have to be one way, guys. There's a lot of ways to get fucking dude-like. All right. Where am I here? Jacob Maynor says, hey, I'm running 5-through-1, boring but strong. How would you program cardio and plyos without interfering with strength gains? I'm training for MMA, so I want to maximize GPP. All right, so if I were you, if you're training for MMA, honest to God, I would not be doing boring but strong. I think that's way too much work, and I think you're just sacrificing sets and reps for nothing. I'll be completely honest. I would not do that. So I would at the very most, I would do 5 sets of 5 of the first set last, and I would put assistance work in between there. So for example, when you're squatting, you do your set of 5, then I would do a set of dips, and then a set of 5 dips or push-ups or something like that. When you're doing like bench press work, I would do some kind of lower body assistance work. You could do pull-ups and stuff like that if you want some kind of core work. So I would not do boring. I would not do that. The other thing is, I don't know how many days a week that you're training for MMA. So that would max. I would train no more than 3 days a week. So 3 days a week, and then maybe 2 days once you have I assume you fighting, right? If you have something planned, I would start going to 2 days a week, and I don't know how they set up the training camps, but probably at least 6 weeks out. As far as cardio, I don't know where you need to improve your cardio, but those, and it would depend on, again, your training schedule, meaning your SPP, your MMA stuff. So I don't know if more stuff is going to hurt you. So we'd have to assess there. So whether or not it's a little specific or more just general conditioning. If you're going to do some jump work and med ball work, that would be done personally. I would probably do it on your training days after a warm up. I would keep the contacts low. I'd probably start with like 10 to 20 and see how you do, and then assess from there. So 3 days a week, I would not do boring but strong. I'd do one main lift. I'd probably, if I was training you, we'd 100% do Crypa, and we would start screwing around with exercises that you want to do that maybe you feel like help you. Again, it's just GPP, guys, so you don't have to go super specific. But if you want to do something dumb, like we did for no reason at all, we put a 100-pound sandbag and we did step-ups as part of our assistance work the other day. We did farmer's walk as part of our Crypa assistance work. We did sled work as part of our Crypa assistance work. So you can be very, very creative, and so that's what I would probably do if I was training you. But since I'm not training you, 3 days a week, cardio is going to be tough. I would do it on the off days, but you're also, again, it depends so greatly on how often you're training, and I don't know what your conditioning's like. So there's a lot of open-ended questions, Jacob. I apologize. I don't have a specific answer because I don't know who you are, and I don't work with you. So it's very difficult for me to answer, but 100% get rid of boring but strong. No reason to do that for GPP. Jonathan says, hey, those lung prowler challenges sound similar to higher rep volume lunges with the weight vest. No matter how much you do them, they always win. The one thing I will say, Jonathan, that's the reason why I love the prowler and the sled is you don't get sore. Fucking lunges kill me every time. That's the only thing, is I can live the next day with the prowler and sled, even no matter how dumb we do it. Lunges don't allow me to live a very good life. Ken says, hey, thank you, Jim. It's the Rogue dog sled. I will follow up with Rogue. I'm not familiar with the dog sled, but yeah, make sure, call them up. I'm sure they're going to be super awesome to you, man. Okay, so the protective plastic on these skis add to your sled, which can greatly reduce the risk of floor damage. So that is for inside stuff. That's not for outside stuff. So you should be fine. You should be fine once you're pushing it inside. Here we go. Spence is, okay. Have you heard about the New Zealand All Blacks rugby team trains? I have not. I don't think they have a main gym, so their training adapts to any international gym they're in during the season. Is pretty sweet. That's a smart coach, man. Fucking love that. That's a guy that's getting paid because he's smart. He's not an idiot. I love that stuff. A good coach can adapt to anything. Scruff McBuff says, hell yeah, you're the man. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Is weighted push-up a good substitute for bench press if I don't have a bench? If I don't have a bench, the thing I would do is I would use the overhead press, even if you have to clean it each time. I would use that as my main lift. Weighted push-ups are fucking awesome. I do them all the time. We do them with the kids. We vary it with plates. We do chains. We use bands. We use, obviously, weight vests and stuff like that. We do deficit ones. We do hand clap push-ups. So is it a substitute? No. Is it a good exercise? Hell yeah. Awesome. Jonathan says, hey, rowing is my primary cardio when I'm at home. Not as easy on the body, but you can do steady work. There you go, or hard intervals. There you go. The technique is much more important than on a bike or airdyne. So that's why I love doing the airdyne. It's the dumbest thing in the world, and I'm not the smartest man in the world. He says, I would like to get an airdyne for my garage eventually, as I'd rather use that for the easy stuff and the rower for, yeah. I think that carries over to the easier stuff too, I'll be honest. JP says, I'm sitting here eating a ribeye and some rice. Oh, I love ribeyes. I like New York strips, ribeyes, anything that's done well, not well done, but is cooked. Good quality meat, well seasoned, is not dry. And the pro, he asked about, again, rowing. He says, I try to use the push, pull, release Q to get the form right. Oh, I'm just joking. All right, I'm going to do a couple more here, then I'm going to get rolling. Drew says, I've scaled back and am running one of the 2-week phases from forever. My question, I travel frequently for work. How would you recommend training while traveling 4 to 5 days every couple weeks? What I would do, if you're traveling, I would give yourself a couple options. Is one, you can always just do like a hotel room workout, and I would just probably draw this up so you have some variations in there. And so you can always, I would do push-ups and lunges, or push-ups and squats, and maybe some ab work thrown in there. And I would just bomb the shit out of that. If you have a hotel gym, then I would look around and I would do some kind of assistance work. So I wouldn't, oh, I can't squat. Well, then you do, hold on to 245s and do, 300 body weight or dumbbell squats or whatever, or something like that. I would do some kind of lower body and some kind of upper body push and some kind of upper body pull. Again, you're going to have to play around with that, Drew. The other option is if you can get to a gym, it would depend greatly on what your gym has. So at the very least, Drew, you walk in there, and this is what I used to do all the time. Since I didn't have access to any machines, I would only do machines when I was on the road. I would just have an absolute blast. I'd go in there, do full body, just bomb every machine I could, because I didn't have access to that. And I didn't want to, I'm not going to, when I was very, very strong, I'm not squatting with some shitty 7-foot bar. All right, that's not knurled. I'm not going to, that's a recipe for disaster. And if you get to a gym and they got those, shitty benches that are like 9 inches wide, I'm not benching on that thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the stuff that I couldn't do and have some fun. So that's what I would probably recommend. So you have basically the prison style training. So you go bananas with push-ups, lunges, squats, and some ab work. The hotel gym where you start being creative, but again, it'd be full body. So, anything you've got, dumbbells and body weight, some kind of variations in there, and just bomb it. Or go to a gym. And personally, I would always just do all the stuff you can't do and just have some fun. It doesn't have to be, crazy, I got to do this and that. Man, you see a machine you want to do, put on some plates, do 1,000,000, put on some more plates, do 1,000,000, get a huge pump and walk out of there. Give yourself 60 minutes and have some fun. Will says, hey Jim, I've started boring but big after finishing up SSNLP. No idea what that is, but okay. I'm loving it, but feel I'm detraining a bit with my lower intensity. Am I doing something wrong, or should I just trust the process? I don't know what SSNLP is, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean by detraining with a bit. So if that's what you're feeling, then I would do another variation of 5-3-1 or go back to what you were doing before, if that's what you feel. Well, I am 1,000% behind whatever you want to do, whatever you feel like you need to do. You don't have to do something that, to appease me or to appease anyone. If that's what you feel you need to do, I'm 1,000% for it. Okay. The only thing is just make sure you're pushing the assistance work, right? That always drives me nuts with the younger kids. They don't know how to, I don't know how they've had a year of training. They don't know how to push stuff. Or you just add in more volume with the FSL work. Starting strength and novice linear progression. I don't know. There's so many things out there, man. I'm not sure what that is. I assume that's just whatever. So if that's the case, if you want to still do 5-3-1, just do more FSL work, or you can do the 5x5-3-1. Just make sure your bar speed is awesome, or do it as written and then push the assistance work, man. I'm a huge fan of assistance work because you can do a ton of it and you don't pay the price. So, but again, if that's what you feel like you need to do, go ahead and do it. I'm not coaching you. You have to learn how to do that. And there's a lot of ways to get things done, guys. So, all right, last one here. Bossman, suggestions for a good conditioning workout after main workout. It's hot in Texas. Good conditioning workout. Put on a vest and go for a walk. Walk stadium stairs, prowler, sleds for a half mile or mile, or you can do short sprints with the prowler, you know, maybe 10:40s or something like that. Like airdyne sprints, airdyne for, you know, an hour, airdyne for 30 minutes, all that stuff, man. A huge fan of that stuff. Just be creative. You don't have to do everything all the time or one thing all the time. So Martin, okay, this will be the last one. Best 5-3-1 template for a 36-year-old who's trained and played sports for 20 years, looking for something 3 times a week that's fairly simple and doesn't take hours and hours. Well, no workout should take hours and hours. Dude, even when I was training like an idiot, it never took an hour. I don't know how people train like that. All right, so I don't know. Again, Martin, I'm just throwing this out there. I would train 3 days a week. Like you said, I would train a main lift. One main lift a day. 2 to 4 assistance exercises per day. You don't have to do full body if you don't want. Just stick with, so if you're doing a bench press that day, you just do upper body stuff. Again, a lot of pushing, a lot of pulling. 2 to 5 sets, depending on what you're doing. Have some fun with the assistance work. I would go over a 9-day rotation. So, you know, you bench, squat, press, and then deadlift, and so on and so on. So that's what I would probably do. The only other thing I'm a huge fan of is the 5-3-1 DeFranco template. You can find those everywhere. It's bench on Monday, trap bar or squat on Wednesday, and then press on Friday, and then you do the requisite assistance work. I should have done that much earlier on. I could have saved my body a little bit. So, and just on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, get some movement in there. So, Zafrican says, do you still do hill sprints? I do not anymore. All right, real quick. Have you mentioned you have been in a lot of pain lately? Have you considered BPC 157? No. Listen, there's people that are in discomfort, and there's shit that I have to deal with, and it's so far gone. I'm not going to go into that stuff, but it's so far gone. I don't want. It's just not. Nothing helps, guys. That's just the way it goes. So, anyway, I got to get going, guys. I got shit to do. I got work to do. There's my buddy over there. Love you guys. I appreciate everyone for showing up and asking a million questions. Thank you to everyone. As always, have a great weekend. If possible, do something awesome. Do something stupid. Don't get hurt, but challenge yourself physically and mentally. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love doing these. Have a great week.